The fog peels back, and you see the shadow of the island looming before you. Lit torches pick out the forms of tenebrous rock faces and colossal teeth through the mist. The hollow eye sockets of ancient sea dragons silently watch your tentative approach. You were warned not to come here. In today's episode, we dive deep into the mists of time and ask ourselves, of what do dead dragons dream? And just what happened to the sleeping Leviathans of Misty Island? While we know of our heroes' reasons for coming to this desolate island, stopping the Lurker's machinations and saving a certain mischievous muse from becoming a Lurker chieftain's pelt, the island is certainly shrouded in mysteries beyond the game's scope. For example, while we never see the exact purpose of this Lurker Barge, we can attempt to ascertain its full purpose based on information we have been given, and with a few educated guesses. Judging by the shape of the barge's prow, this vessel was likely used to ram human vessels, bowling them over in naval battles in true Lurker fashion. These huge tusks angled downwards could likely have been used as a sort of hooking mechanism for even larger vessels, and to facilitate boarding actions for the Lurker Pirates on board. While we never learn of any such pirates or naval battles in-game, we can assume that they occurred at least seldomly. The potential form and function of this barge screams piratical raiding, as well as the need for human settlements to make use of defences, such as the Sentinel Beach Bay Tower. The presence of cannons in the game also suggests naval battles. Given the level of technology in the setting, they would have been perfectly suited to such engagements. Though the cannons in-game fire what appear to be sacks of gunpowder, the presence of solid ammunition used in real naval battles is confirmed in-game by none other than the weighted attire of Gol Acheron. By consulting the Jak and Daxter design bible, we see that he makes use of this ammunition to weigh himself down, in addition to symbolizing the burden Dark Eco has placed on his body and spirit. The presence of the balloon lurkers also suggests more varied tactics of naval warfare. Their crude flying machines could be used to take off from this barge mid-battle, flying overhead and leading the path of enemy vessels, before dropping the mine directly into their way and dealing grievous blows to crew and vessel both. These mines could also be used to booby-trap the waters surrounding the island, should any more wayward humans attempt to explore, or even gather together and mount an offensive on the island. The Lurkers performed these raids and battles presumably for resources, as well as enacting the will of Gol and Maia. The armour worn by bone lurkers resembles the skull of Yakows. These were likely barbaric trophies taken during raids, landing ashore and hunting or stealing Yakow from the mainland for food, pelts, horns, bones and leather. This cargo hold would have been used to store resources and plunder. Its most recent purpose may have been for the capture of an adult Flut-Flut, the mother of the one our heroes befriend during the events of the game.
You know, yesterday I saw some terribly vicious creatures capture a mother Flut-Flut near the beach. Now there's this poor little orphan egg sitting in a nest at the top of the cliff and I can't get to it.
It is unknown what became of this mother Flut-Flut, though she likely took down many a lurker during her capture. With sufficient use of Dark Eco under Gol and the use of Maias sorcery, this beautiful creature could have been corrupted into a sort of lurker bird of prey, a foul rendition of avian life, not unlike a lurker version of the roc from Middle Eastern mythology. It's uncertain what level of technology lurkers possessed prior to the events of the game. While they possess an uncanny ability to create functional and effective, albeit barbaric tools of war and industry, and even jury-rig precursor technology in some instances, it is plausible that they do not fully understand the scientific process behind it all, and are simply performing rote instructions given to them by Gol and Maia. An apt comparison would be Saruman giving the orcs the fire of Orthanc, a form of explosive composition, as seen in Lord of the Rings. We've examined the present, But now we dive deep into the past, before lurkers had even set foot on this world. This dark eco-silo is the largest feature on this island, taking up a large portion of the south of the island. As we discussed in episode 1, we assume that Misty Island's proximity to Geyser Rock made for convenient work for the precursor robots to fly over and perform routine maintenance on this silo. It's possible that, given enough time, the lurkers of Misty Island would begin operations to excavate the robots on Geyser Rock in a similar fashion to their Spider Cave excavation, and eventually manage to open the silo, flooding the earth with dark eco as the Citadel silo floods from the north, creating a two-pronged wave of mutation and madness. And the lurkers would not have wanted a single moment of it. Barbaric and bellicose though they may be, they are not inherently evil, as we see from the lurkers in later games, such as the well-spoken and business-savvy Brutter. No, these lurkers are held under the sway of Maya sorcery, and possibly corrupted into forms no longer resembling their original forms by the warping influence of dark eco. Their bondage is symbolized by the metal collar that adorns the form of almost every lurker we see, save for the lurker sharks of the deep. Environmentally, Misty Island is somewhat of an anomaly. It is perpetually shrouded in thick mist, a bizarre phenomenon given the tropical waters on which it resides. But what if this mist isn't actually mist at all? Given Misty Island's proximity to the geysers of Geyser Rock and the volcanic soil of Fire Canyon, it wouldn't be far-fetched to assume that this mist is actually volcanic smoke or gaseous fumes emanating from fossil fuel fires or magma flows under the island and venting into the atmosphere. These emanations would give the appearance of a perpetual fog blanket. The presence of red eco-clusters, the eco most closely related to heat and explosive force, supports this theory further. These same fossil fuels could be the fuel that fills these barrels and fuels the barge. Lurkers seem to be making their first foray into harnessing eco, and so this use of fossil fuels may have been what they had been using up until the events of the game. Another possibility exists that the temperamental shifting of the Earth due to volcanic activity could have overwhelmed even the formidable durability of the precursor silo, cracking it open under the Earth and causing the dark eco within to spill forth. In primordial times, this could be the very reason for the island's existence. Dark eco mixes violently with the inherent red eco energy of underground magma flows, belching forth noxious gases, steam and geysers of molten lava, blanketing the precursor facility in fog and rapidly cooling molten rock. Tree and plant life burns away to desiccated husks, and the lava cools into solid cliffs of obsidian, obscuring the precursor structures within. And these chaotic forces of creation also heave forth something else from deep under the earth. Colossal remains of ancient Leviathans dot the entire island. It remains a complete mystery what these creatures were called, or what they looked like in life. Were they created by the precursors? Did they exist prior to humankind? Were they made extinct by the cataclysmic energy unleashed by the precursors during the processes used to create their vision of life on this planet? As we see in Daxter's game, it's no secret that there exists a form of lurker whale, or colossal lurker shark, a lurker megalodon of sorts. And so, how many other giants of the deep still survive in the unknown depths of the world's oceans? Going by the presence of the many volcanic landscapes throughout the island, there is a possibility that perhaps the entire continent is situated within a titanic caldera of a dormant supervolcano. If this is true, the oceans we see in-game would be like a shallow puddle compared to the super deep abyssal seas beyond the game's borders. What took place within this abyss can only be guessed at through hints and conjecture. We see that some bones possess scars and grazes carved into their faces. While this could be attributed to being pushed against jutting rock faces on their journey to the surface, there exists a chilling possibility that these colossal sea dragons had enemies in the primordial seas of eons past. Or, more chilling still, natural predators. But what could pose a threat to such mighty beasts? In Jak 3, we see that to wade into deep waters invites the attention of a tentacled sea predator. And assuming this cut content map is true, then there was originally intended to be more to fear from the seas than just lurker sharks. Mighty krakens could have posed a threat to players who ventured too far out, either by themselves or within this submarine, assuming this was a concept for a seafaring vessel that could be piloted by players in-game. This predator in Jak 3 could be the descendant of whatever monstrosity once prowled the deeps, perhaps shrunk in size down the ages due to lack of food that could support its original titanic proportions. Ancient battles could have taken place between these sea dragons and krakens in the blackness, the freezing cold, and crushing pressure of the abyssal ocean. For territory, food, or other reasons, we will never know. We may also never know if they still exist, fighting in the deep, exhausting their supply of food, and being forced to surface to more shallow waters. In the years to come, when the world is assailed by Horakwan and Darkmakers both, they may both be met with a very unpleasant surprise, should they try to make the deep places of the world their own. For though the land is the realm of man and lurker, the sea remains the realm of sleeping dragons. So we ask again, of what do dead dragons dream? In the swirling mists of their dreams, they dream of fire.